What's up, everyone? This is Land from the Cheeseheadz Weekly Podcast, and we're here again on the 21st of February. Um, it's a Tuesday, and we've been getting plenty of listens, so that's great. Some more followers, that's also great. Something I'd like to see a little bit more of is we get some voice messages. You can click on the link in the description to send in a voice message. It'll take you to the podcast profile on Anchor. You do not need an Anchor account or anything. All you have to do is click that link, and then there will be a button where you can send in a voice message. That would be fantastic. You could send in a question, a comment, something you'd like me to address, something you'd like me to address in future episodes. Pretty much anything. Lots of stuff you can do with that, and that would be great. And if you want, I could even play the voice message on the show and address it. Um, Answer your question or whatever it may be. We have been having plenty of comments, some participation in the polls, so that is great to see. So let's get into some news. Derek Carr, former quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, is now a free agent, and he has visited the New York Jets. And David Carr has said that his free agency will be a long process. He's going to make sure he makes the right decision. Sounds like a okay thing to me. And also yesterday, the window to franchise tag players whose contracts are going to expire is now open as of yesterday, the 20th, Monday. The window will run through March 7, and free agency will start very soon thereafter. So that's something to keep in mind. There's different coaching things. I won't go through all of that. You can look that up yourself, but different, mainly just assistant coaches now, like OCs, DCs, stuff like that. We're getting into draft season. That's great. The big Packers news here is also Monday. The Packers have 7 player contracts voiding. So they'll be shelling out some money. It'll result in over 16 million in dead cap for the 2023 salary cap. So that was a result of them pushing off some money to the future so they could get under the cap. Their salary cap situation the last 2 years has not been good, and so we'll see how they're gonna make it work this year, and with some of their free agents. Hopefully, next episode I will be talking about the free agents and giving a little bit of an overview of what that's looking like ahead of free agency starting, and stuff about franchise tags. Another piece of news: the Packers did reconstructure Aaron Jones' contract. I forget how much money that will free up. It could save almost 12 million on the salary cap in 2023. That is great. And Aaron Jones is one of those great guys who is willing to be paid less to play for his team. And Aaron Jones is an absolute great guy to have around. I will be happy to see Jones in Green Bay for a very long time yet. People are like, well, he's getting older. Maybe it'd be okay if you let him go or try to trade him. Nah. Packers want him. He's a huge part of the offense, the locker room. He's just kind of the Packers type of guy that they want around in Green Bay, and I expect him to stay a while, and I hope he does. So, as I said, it is Tuesday, and there's a report from 3 days ago that Brian Gutekunst, this is a report from Tom Silverstein of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. He says, at one point late last year, Green Bay Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst told an NFL colleague he was convinced it was time the organization move on from quarterback Aaron Rodgers and see what Jordan Love had in him. And it's unclear if Gutekunst wanted the transition to be in season, like maybe after that Rodgers injury during the Eagles game, or if it was after the season. He was thinking after the season. But that's interesting news. Especially you go back to, I believe, a couple seasons ago. After they drafted Jordan Love, the relationship was rather rocky. And Rodgers, they kind of patched it up, and Rodgers is like, we have a great relationship now. I think Gutekunst was the main culprit of that. And the relationship looks good, but now I don't know if this is considered a falling out or what you can call this. And I think on today's show, I'm going to be discussing whether they should roll with Rodgers Love, my thoughts on the whole thing. We're going to take it all in as Rodgers' decision could be coming before too long. So let's get into it. So Rodgers' decision, as I said, is coming up. This is Tuesday when Rodgers normally makes an appearance on the Pat McAfee show. I'm not sure if he will be doing that or not. It depends on whether his darkness retreat has been completed yet. But his decision could be coming, or he could be closer to a decision. He never said he was going to make a decision right after this. This is going to help him get closer. So at this point, it seems like Packers fans are kind of fed up. You look at how this thing started. Matt LaFleur was hired after the 2018 season when Mike McCarthy was fired mid-season and the Packers did not make the playoffs. In 2019, Matt LaFleur's first season, they kind of took the league by storm, except not quite. They were first in their division, won 13-3, and lost in the NFC Championship game at Levi's Stadium. At the 49ers Stadium, they lost 20-37. The next year, 2020, the 2020 draft, we had Jordan Love drafted in the first round. The Packers traded up 4 picks to get him. At that time, I believe Matt LaFleur said something like, well, we looked at our board. He was kind of the next guy on it, and there was a lot of criticism because Aaron Rodgers had played quite well that year getting them to the championship game. And the fact that he traded up means he wasn't just the guy there because you traded up to get him. You obviously had him in mind. And there was a little bit of speculation that they could take a quarterback. They seemed to have a little bit of interest before the draft in Jordan Love. So Rodgers was somewhat surprised and shocked. I think maybe he was a little bit like, okay, they're losing faith in me just like that. But everything apparently was still okay. They were first in the NFC North again, and they went 13-3 again. Got all the way to the NFC Championship game, were the number 1 seed in the playoffs, and they lost in the NFC Championship game to the Buccaneers 26-31. That was at Lambeau. Aaron Rodgers was named the MVP that year. It was a great season, but obviously they wanted to make the Super Bowl. So, 2021, the off season leading up to 2021, Rodgers was not happy. According to a report in April of 2021, Aaron Rodgers wanted Brian Gutekunst, the GM for the Packers, fired. Seemed to have a big list of things. He eventually broke his silence and kind of just let it all out and said everything, and they agreed to give him a few rights. They're like, okay, we'll listen to you. We want you back after the MVP season. And so they they decided to listen to him for a few advice, and they trade for Randall Cobb. A washed up Randall Cobb, brought him over from the Texans, I believe. And because Rodgers wanted Cobb with him. A few things like that with some veterans. They tried to get him involved. At the end of that year, he said his relationship had improved a lot. He was very happy. And that year, by the way, they were again first in the NFC North, the number 1 seed, but they really fell short. Went 13-4, but lost in the divisional round, the first round of the playoffs for them. The offense kind of choked, and it was a 10-13 loss to the Niners again. But Rodgers was named MVP. But during the offseason, Davante Adams was franchise tagged and then traded as they could not get a deal done with him, and he kind of wanted out. And also Marquez Valdes-Scantling was a free agent, and he cost a little too much money for the Packers cap at that point. So, last year was rough. Finished third in the NFC North, 8-9. Did not make the playoffs. Rodgers had a major down year. And suddenly everyone was like, okay, is it Jordan Love's time? He sat behind Rodgers for 3 years. So here are my thoughts. As a fan, I want Jordan Love to be the guy. I'm ready for Jordan Love. I think it's Jordan Love time. I do find it somewhat interesting how the Packers fans, just public opinion in general, were kind of with Rodgers. Back-to-back MVPs. We're still excited to see if he can get it done. I was excited about this season, to tell you the truth, because I thought it looked like they could still make a run. They didn't really have wide receivers, but then they drafted 3 of them. And I was like, I think maybe he can actually do good spreading it around. not trying to force it with Adams. That wasn't really the case. But I do find it interesting how everyone was back to Rodgers. He got that massive deal, and everyone seemed to be on his side. Team was all in with him, and I was thinking, what's going to happen to Love at this point? Because I kind of wanted to see Love play. I was pretty excited for him. But obviously, if Rodgers is playing at an MVP level, you don't want to let him go. Now, after this season, after everyone's great with Rodgers, he had to make his decision whether he's going to retire or not, what he wants, kind of, and he decided to come back, and everyone let him wait a while. He made the decision in a timely manner before free agency started. Everyone let him have time, his space, and he came back. Everyone was happy. And now after this year, the down year, and now everyone's like, is he washed? Is he in decline? And everyone's like, now everyone thinks the relationship is not good suddenly, and it's like everyone's suddenly thinking Rodgers is just this mean person. He wants a ton of attention. He seems to want to be traded. And that report about Gutekunst, and then just the fact that he takes his time making decisions, never says anything definite. And people are like, okay, now he's really kind of just messing with the Packers. Here's the deal. If the Packers had an owner, I do believe Rodgers probably would have made his decision by now, unless the owner is one that likes Rodgers and wants him to stay and just will let him make the decision. Hitting his timing. But here's the deal. Rodgers is not my favorite player on the Packers team. He's not my favorite player, period. But Rodgers is not, I don't think he's really messing with the team. We didn't think he was messing with the team after his second MVP season. And after they traded Adams, we thought we're just going to let him take his time because Rodgers is an MVP quarterback. Now we're like, Rodgers is not an MVP quarterback. He's on the decline. We're like, come on, let's have Jordan Love. And Rodgers, you stink. You're just not cool anymore. And you know what? He's not taking any longer to make the decision this year. He made it beginning of March. Last time we're like, oh, that was good timing. He didn't make the Packers wait. He said he's not going to do that this time. And people are mocking him for the darkness retreat. I've made a few jokes about it myself. And it is what it is. Rodgers is just, everyone wants him out. So here's my take on it. Here's what I'm looking at for Rodgers next season. I do believe it's Jordan Love time. And here's why. Jordan Love, everyone's saying he's ready. The GM says he's ready. Coaches say he's ready. The players say he's ready. And they've seen him on the practice field. I believe he's ready, okay? Well, and some people will say, well, they're just high on him. Maybe they think they'll trade him. You always want to say he's good. Maybe that just means they don't like Rodgers. But I'm not sure but some people are like, yeah, well, they're still not really sure because that's why they haven't got rid of Rodgers yet. Yeah, but Rodgers was back-to-back MVP. You can't just get rid of Rodgers that easily. And then it's, yeah, Jordan, no one said he could play. His rookie season, no one was like, oh yeah, this guy can play. And they were like, yeah, he has talent. He has an arm. But they weren't saying he's ready to play. They didn't say that until this year. That's when they said that. I think he's ready to play. I think that Green Bay knows he's ready to play. I can understand maybe if they're hesitant to get rid of Rodgers, but I think it's time. We saw this season. Aaron Rodgers, he kind of likes the veterans. Jordan Love will be great. He'll play with anyone. Rodgers, I think, kind of limited the offense because his lack of mobility these days. And also, I think he had some say in the offense, and he liked his offense a certain way. And Matt LaFleur hasn't really got a chance to show his offense's full potential. I think they could use. I mean, you saw how quarterback friendly Kyle Shanahan's system is in San Francisco. I think Matt LaFleur, he's come from that same sort of system. I think we could see that with Jordan Love, and I think Jordan Love could have a lot of success. He's mobile, and you could see, I think, a better version of the Green Bay offense. Sure, it's going to be rocky. Jordan Love is going to have his ups and downs, but you got to get through that. At this point, he's got all the off field experience he needs. He's played behind Tom Clements, quarterback coach that Rodgers thinks very highly of. He's played behind Rodgers. He's been behind some great vet players that have helped him along. He's got a great coach. And I think it is time to just rip the Band-Aid off and roll with Love. And yeah, the team doesn't want to be irrelevant again. But I think it's Jordan Love time, and I am ready to see it happen. I'm very excited for what Jordan Love can do. They might not win the Super Bowl next year. They might not be considered Super Bowl favorites. But guess what? Jordan Love's odds to be MVP are better than Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. So there's what some people think about Love for you. And I personally think the same. I think he could maybe be the next Patrick Mahomes, the next, Jalen Hurts. Maybe not that much of a runner, but like he could scramble if needed, and I think he could be the next great young quarterback that we're seeing. With all these young quarterbacks we're seeing rise in the NFL here today. So that's going to be close to the end of the show. As you can probably tell, my voice is starting to give out. That is all I have in store for the show today. We're going to start to get into some of the other off-season things. Like I said, free agents. We'll look at the draft class from last year. Maybe some rookie grades, stuff like that. And maybe a quarterback outlook for all the teams in the NFL. We'll see what I decide to do. And maybe at some point we'll get a guest or two on the show. As of now, we await Rodgers' decision. And I cannot wait to talk about that decision whenever it comes. So it should be fun. I hope you enjoyed the show. Follow the show, rate the show. Be sure to tell your friends about the show. That's always great. We want to grow the show. And so you can tune in every Tuesday. We'll have a new episode out, and you can participate in the polls and comment on the show. And we will talk to you later. Goodbye.